Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Thank you so much for waiting. Um, Tonight, we'll be um, learning a lot about meetings. I heard it. So we have also collaborated with, um, I would say, one of the best person to discuss about this topic. But I am not your moderator for tonight. I, I am only the bidan terjun because our moderator has got some issues with the internet connection. Um, so um, so I have now I am the bidan terjun, right? So I will call in my partner, another bidan terjun with me, to introduce our honorable speaker to discuss about tonight's topic. So let's call upon our next bidan terjun, Miss Diana Suziana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Safwat. I hope that my makeup today is so intact because like Bidan Terjun, I don't do makeups tonight. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're still waiting for Mr. Aizat to get back on track in a while, right? So we don't want to waste everyone's time. So we have Dr. Rashad Yazdanifard today with us. Maybe we can bring Dr. Rashad together with us, Mr. Safwat.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Rashad, onto the stage. Dr. Rashad, so sorry. Associate Professor Dr. Rashad Yazdanifard. Yeah.
Hi
Hello, doctor.
everyone.
How are you tonight?
Hello. I hope that you're doing great. Great to be here, and it's an honor to be tonight part of this energetic group. And hopefully, we can have a nice discussion about a very interesting topic that you have chosen for this guest lecture.
Yes. This
So
is
let's go
going to
for
be
it.
one of the topic. Yeah, doctor.
Hmm.
Uh,
So
Sure,
by the
sure.
way, everyone, yes, I just would like to inform you that Dr. Rashad. Oh, thank you, Sugar Venom. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, doctor. One of my students somehow compliment me to that tonight. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So doctor,
you should
Dr.
definitely
Rashad
thank
is
her.
actually yeah. So Dr. Rashad is actually the Dean of Postgraduate Studies from King's University College Malaysia, as well as the founder and CEO of Expert Mind Solution. The reason why I invited Doctor today because I believe that you have a lot to share with our students, and this topic is actually one of the topic that we need to teach our students in our syllabus.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. As I mentioned, I'm happy to be part of this beautiful initiative, and I will do my best to share as much as I can, and hopefully this sharing will be an interesting thing for a student as well.
Okay, Doctor. Mr. Safwat, maybe we can start. Our student are eager to know more about the topic.
yes, we should do that. But before that, I would like to inform and announce that Mr. Aizat is back here.
Oh, that's
Yay!
fantastic.
So let's put him
See you,
back
Doctor.
on the stage. Let's put the stage is just Mr. Aizat as the moderator for our tonight's session. So back to the stage, Mr. Aizat.
All the
Cool.
Hello,
best, Doctor. Mr.
hello,
Aizat. See
assalamualaikum.
you.
Hi everyone.
Salam
Oh
warahmatullah.
no, I'm so sorry. There was a technical issue on my end. I don't know what happened. So I think it will be only I think it will be only good if I start the introduction once properly. Yeah. First of all, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Rashad, for being here, for making time to join us despite your busy schedule. And also to all of you, welcome, welcome, welcome to our collaborative teaching session or CGCT. I hope everyone is feeling great tonight. I hope everyone is feeling fine tonight. Yeah, if you are as excited as I am, please drop us some emojis in the chat. Let me see. Drop us emojis. Let me see. We'd love to see your energy. We'd love to see your excitement. Yeah. We want to know how you guys are feeling also. Yeah. Let me see. All right. I can see Mila. I can see some others as well. Yeah. Please feel free to make use of our chat box. Yeah. Tell us where you are tuning in from, or just say hi. Yeah. Just say hi. Because we're trying to make it as casual as possible. We're trying to keep it light and easy. as we are trying, and also we are trying to make it very interactive. Hi, Akila. Hello. So let's get started. Yeah. So on behalf of Akademi Pengajian Bahasa and also University Technology Mara, I would like to warmly welcome everybody to our exclusive webinar entitled Mastering the Art of Effective Meetings in the Modern Workplace. Yeah, my name is Muhammad Aizat, and I will be your host. Yeah, proper host. Yeah, / moderator for this session. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Whether you are a student, whether you are a lecturer, I can see a lot of lecturers here in the session, or if you are a working professional. Yeah, this session is designed to help us to help us all become effective, more effective communicators and leaders in the context of workplace meetings. Yeah. So this webinar is brought to you by Center for Innovative Delivery and Learning Development, CIDL, powered by CG360 Video Learning, and it is currently being streamed live on its YouTube channel. So a quick reminder before we begin, feel free, as I mentioned, to make use of our YouTube live chat. We're going to have a Q&A session towards the end of this program, so don't hesitate to drop your questions or your queries or your comments, throughout the talk. We will look at them later. All right. So now a bit of context. Today's meeting or today's webinar is more than just academic session. This is actually a practical guide. Yeah. Because when we talk about workplace meetings, we talk about, it is more than just sitting around listening to other people talk. It is actually a vital platform that helps us to work together, collaborate, brainstorm, and at the end of it, come to a proper solution, to matters that are important. Yeah. So they are supposed to be very structured, very simple, and also straightforward. But oftentimes, but it is understandable, people hate, attending meetings. People don't like to join meetings for the simple reason that it is just, it takes too long sometimes. Yeah. And that can happen only if we are not doing it the right way, because sometimes, we come to the meeting unprepared. We don't know the head and tail of what this meeting is going to be about. So that can, make us, seem very unprepared, disinterested, or even, incompetent in the eyes of our colleagues and superiors. So because of that, this session, is very important, especially for you students who are going off for your internship, probably next semester or maybe the semester after that. This is to equip you with the skills that a lot of companies, require these days. Yeah, for students to be able to not only contribute in a meeting but also lead, a meeting sometimes. Yeah, professionally and respectfully. So it is actually an essential skill. So the reason why you're here tonight, it is more than your assessment preparation. It is also your career preparation. So that's why we have this special guest with us, Dr. Rashad, who has been very kind enough, to spend time with us, to help you understand, what made meetings successful, especially in the workplace. So you need to stick around, sit back and relax, and take note. Yeah, take note. So it is my absolute honor to introduce our guest speaker of tonight, Dr. Rashad Yazdanifard. He's, as mentioned by my colleague just now, he's the postgraduate. He's the dean of postgraduate studies at King's University College in Malaysia, and he's also the founder and CEO of Expert Mind Solutions. Dr. Rashad is widely known for his extensive experience in both corporate and academic sectors across Asia and Europe. Yeah. So he has been, basically, he is widely known for his expertise in leadership, organizational communication, as well as decision making. So with years of experience, teaching and also mentoring, professionals and also executives, it is, I think we are so grateful to have him with us, to share a bit of insights as to how to conduct meetings successfully and effectively, and also conduct meetings with empathy, clarity, and also influence. So we are absolutely thrilled to have him with us tonight. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Rashad Yazdanifard. Please welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Aizat, for an absolute interesting introduction and also your amazing opening. I really enjoyed what you were mentioning, and I was trying to use some of the flavors that you have later on in our coverage. As I mentioned earlier, this is an absolute honor to be here tonight, and I hope that what we discuss and what we share can be actually helpful, practical, and pragmatic for our students. So actually, after this session, they can remember this interesting session that we had. We try our best to make it work. So if you allow me, without further ado, I will share with you my slides, and then we can start it from there. Thank you very much. So I believe everyone shall see the slides. Can you everyone see it? Just I need a confirmation, then we shall be able
Yes.
to
Yes,
start.
Doctor.
Fantastic, fantastic. So as everyone is aware, tonight we are talking about very interesting topic of mastering the art of effective meetings in the modern workplace. You see, the topic by itself says a lot. Art. We are talking about mastering art. Means it's not just about textbook information. It's about being able to learn it through experience and apply it in real life to be able to get to the place that you're looking for. So I'm basically, most of my background is in management business, and I'm actually an associate professor in business faculty. But so most of the things that I'm going to share with you will be a combination of my own tacit knowledge, means what I gained through experience over the years, as well as, of course, some basic principles that you will have. So those principal academic points will be mainly there to be able to give us some basically a structure for our basically session. After covering most of the materials, then we will be having Q&A. I will be more than happy to address your questions accordingly. But at the beginning of every session, I will have some icebreaker, and that will come next. But for you to know what will be pretty much what tonight we're covering, so we will be having, as I mentioned to you, some introduction and icebreaker. Then we will be talking about the types of meetings, like general flavors and common meeting challenges that everyone, regardless of location, whether you're Malaysian in Malaysia or you're European in Europe or anywhere else in the world, will have it, because we're dealing with human, which is unpredictable from every angle you name it. Planning and preparation. If you want to be successful in something, at least what you have in your hand is to plan it, right? Hiccups may happen, and it's not in your control. Like you see, Mr. Muhammad Aizat wanted to come at the beginning, but something absolutely unexpected happened. So, but when you plan it in advance, so at least you can come up with plan B or plan C, so you can do something well. So we're going to talk about it, how meetings can be seen that way. Effective meeting rules can be discussed, like if you're planning it, then who's going to do what will be the probably the righteous configuration. Then we will talk about language for meeting, like what will be the right way of running it when it comes to the meeting. We will have some discussion about the discussion in general, like when meetings start, things can go really out of hand, especially can be skewed to a certain party because there is a dominant speaker or dominant influencer in the meeting. So how that can be kept on track, and other related topics. We'll be also talking about how we can wrap up, like how will be the final saying or takeout of the meeting can be wrapped up and can be done. Some post-meeting actions and the reflection part. So without further ado, we start with introduction and icebreaker. So without going further and not knowing the details of this assignment, I would like to talk to you. And first of all, I believe the fact that why meetings matter today is not something that is difficult to justify or explain. All of us, we know through meetings, we can actually win an opportunity. We can join a company because that meeting was about job application. It could be a convincing point that we have for our boss or subordinate, and that meeting can be determinant in our success in the company, and so many other things. You can actually have meetings with your friends on some very basic matters as well. So meetings are important because human interactions are important, because we are no longer living in cave, right? If you're living in cave and you're not in touch with other humans, of course there's no meeting. There's no reason for you to check with others whether they have the same understanding, and you're not also looking for things that can be done through humans getting together, like synergy and all. Um, so there's no doubt, there's no shadow of doubt on the fact that meetings are absolutely important, because like a lot of things that human does on daily basis, like decision making, meetings are also things that we do Sometimes they're official, sometimes they're unofficial. And today, because of the modern technology, you have different form of them. You can meet people online, you can meet them in hybrid mode, you can meet them in person, which is the most common one. But all of us, and including even you guys, being young, but still you have had occasions in which you had some unique experiences when it comes to meeting. I would like maybe at the beginning for some ice-breaking flavor to see if anyone would like to share a best or a worst meeting experience he or she had so far in his career, in his life, during his studies, or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to hear from you guys and see if anybody have something interesting to share. Maybe Mr. Muhammad Aizat also can
Yeah.
facilitate
All right.
this. It will be amazing if we can do that before
Okay,
we
students.
make sure I close my WhatsApp as well. So any question, anyone who wants to share some thoughts, it can be in form of some point because they won't be able to talk, can they? Mr.
No,
Muhammad
they're not
Aizat?
able to. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
so it
joining us
has
from
to be in a very short, brief summary down there, synopsis.
True.
Then you can read it.
So maybe the question was about the best or the worst experience they had. Yeah, joining a
Yes,
meeting.
correct.
Okay. So share with us a bit, or maybe if you are, um, maybe that's what you can do. Students, share with us some of your experiences. Maybe just one. What is your best or worst experience that you've had? In a meeting. What is one that stick with you? That you still can remember till today. Whether it is a good experience or it is the opposite of it. Share with us. Let us see.
Yeah, in synopsis form. So you don't
Yeah,
need really
maybe.
to write a
Mhm, mhm.
novel to explain it.
Right.
It's just like I had this situation. I went in with this expectation. It turned to
Uh,
be an amazing result, or it ended up being a disaster
yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't go there. Yeah.
I think this is very relatable also, doctor, because in my case, in my experience, normally, joining a meeting is very tedious. It's a very tedious thing to do for me. It's a very, it's very tedious. It's very dry. It's very boring. I think maybe one of the reasons is because we come unprepared. We are not sure. We don't know the agenda sometimes. It is not made clear by the chairperson, or maybe it is made clear, but they get sidetracked rather easily sometimes.
Fantastic.
So my
Absolutely correct.
experiences with meetings, especially workplace meetings, have not been that satisfactory.
Fantastic. You actually talk about a very interesting one. You see, the not knowing what the agenda is, it can
Mm,
be the problem of the one who initiated the meeting because they didn't even inform what the whole meeting is about.
yeah.
Or it's sometimes maybe we can say a deficiency on side of those that they're attending meeting because they didn't read the agenda, they didn't come prepared, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
But either of these two can be disastrous. The reason is sometimes you get to a meeting, you really have no idea what this meeting is for, and you're there. Sometimes you're waiting for something important in the organization, so that gives you unnecessary stress. Sometimes it's you expect something else, get completely surprised.
Mm,
Uh, and as you mentioned, is the problem with meetings is, I mean, of course, it's like nobody really expects meetings to be that often, or they don't really enjoy meetings. Except those meetings are very engaging. Means they
mm,
know when they come in, they get something out of it which is meaningful to them and their career or their what they are involved with.
mm.
So yes, two matters that you mentioned, which is not being prepared and also not being justified about what the whole topic is about. They can be both causing some issues. I saw some flavors from students as
Yeah,
well. I would
some
love to
comment by
share.
one student. I think her name was Nabila. She said that she was. I think one of the problems that she's had was about technical equipment. She spoke too eagerly, and she forgot to unmute her microphone. And that is
Oh,
also.
okay. That's a very interesting one. It happens. It does happen on online in online world as we speak. Pandemic made us believe that none of us are our presence in office or in our workplace is no longer that important.
Mhm.
Nobody is in fact that important. You can be Donald Trump, but yeah, if it's today's pandemic, you have to do things online, and you have to, and you will do it. Um, and so, but then not everybody is okay using basically internet. Sometimes the small matters, like even unmuting yourself, can cause disastrous results. So, as you mentioned, you can start happily talking about things, and people are seeing just a pantomime of you moving around while they don't really know what you're talking about. So, after you going for like 5 minutes, then you find out, oh, all you were saying is it's wasted. Nobody even understood. So that's amazing situation that nobody wants to be in. So that's a good one. That's a good one. I see other examples like
Another
Mila.
one, yeah, another one by Mila K. She said that her laptop's battery died, I think, in the middle of the meeting. So she was so shocked about it, and she had to text her clubmates or her friends about it uh, to
To
rejoin the meeting.
apologize and say, "Oh wow, that's the." Apparently, a lot they see the problems in online work when things can go really out of control without your things, and then sometimes they are so simple, and we keep ignoring them, but then they end up being very detrimental to whole results. Like microphones not being on, it's not something that somebody sees as a real problem, but it can actually create real, basically unnecessary bad image of you
Mm.
for your audience. Because people say if you cannot pay attention to something as small as this, how you want to like then talk about like more sophisticated stuff.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it does make sense why people feel bad after things like that. Yeah, I can see another
Yeah,
example.
another one. Yeah, another one by Izati. She said that by one of the members was late to come to the meeting, so our lecturer was looking for her, but she is our roommate, so everyone was expecting me to find her, and then when I call her, she scolded me. So she basically it was a very
Wow.
unfortunate situation that she was in.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a very unique case. You see, I think it may happen to one in a billion people, but
Mm.
it's it's a very unique case to be in. So you're expected to be the liaison, but then end up being scolded by the person who's actually intentionally skipping the meeting.
Yeah, another one. Maybe we can take this one. Yeah, Venom. She said that I had to wait for 1 hour for the online meeting for them to cancel at the very last minute.
Oh,
So
that's unbelievably, yeah. Okay, that's another nice, interesting example. So you see, a lot are about the online world. So I think I believe the fact that you're now surrounded by these online meetings here and over there. That's quite understandable. In fact, recently I was in a meeting, and it wasn't not that important meeting, but it was somehow important for me. Even it happened to me as somebody who has been doing this. I have been teaching online years that nobody was doing this. I remember it was the year 2012, 2013. I was teaching to some universities in UAE,
mm,
and the thing is, they are 4 hours after us. So the
mm,
class was started at 7 p.m. their time, and it was
mm,
11 a.m. Malaysia. So God bless. You see, we started class at 11 p.m., and no matter how much I tried to survive, at around 12 something, I was just hallucinating. And then we have the students on the other side. So I believe definitely they were sleeping as well. So we were all enjoying dreaming at the same time. Well, we call it online classes. So I've had this experience from these number of years, but I still sometimes get caught being surprised by how things can go wrong without your expectation. And one of the interesting thing was like suddenly going mute on a platform that I use daily basis, Microsoft Teams, and I was sharing with you before the class. And I even before this session, as I mentioned to you, I was like making sure that this is not going to happen today, because sometimes like it's really out of control. It happened to you as well, Mr. Muhammad. Yeah, like just
yeah,
now,
definitely.
we were talking perfectly. We were
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
cracking jokes,
yeah.
and
It
just
was a prime example.
a perfect example, as if you
That
made
thing
it
can
for
go
night
wrong.
tonight, a practical one. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your thoughts and your experiences in different manner. We call it experiences because they're different occasions and from different people. As we know, experience is not supposed to be plural. But then I'm going to go back to my slides and go and start our journey and talk about it. So, as we know, there are different type of meetings in today's world. You will have these in-person meetings that they're amazingly important. Probably your first job interview will be what you will be doing after internship, or even for your internship, you might need to do interview. And that in-person meeting, or maybe first meeting that you have, will be determinant whether you get the job or you get the internship or not. So in-person meeting, no matter how much we are going online, they are still one of the most important one. A lot of employers, even at the earliest stage of the work, they would like to see the candidate in person, because what you offer, beside your verbal communication skills, which is basically your other unverbal communication elements. You're looking for to see that, to see how you react, how you move. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the concept NLP, neuro linguistic planning, when people uh, get to react differently upon different questions coming to them. Like, for example, you start moving your eyes differently, or you touch your face or your ear, and all having different meaning. And there are some now top-notch expert in this field that they are helping top politicians in the world. So when they get to important meetings, what to do and what not to do. All right, so they're advising them in that. So that's how important that non-verbal communications are. So in-person meetings will reveal all those. In virtual meetings, you may not have all those, but there are other factors that people would like to see, or they're determinant in the meeting and the quality of meeting and how you send the message across. And hybrid is the combination of both, when sometimes you have a group of people joining online while you have a group of people in presence and you're running it. So of course, there are different occasions in different organizations that we will use a combination. Sometimes you have some members of the company or employees are working from home, which is very common nowadays. And some they are in the office because they're supposed to come, or maybe this is their turn. And the top management would like to have a meeting, so that everybody have to join. And the system has to be in a way that everybody can actually put in enough input. But although we try all this, a lot of times things, they don't go the way we want them, right? So there are some common meeting challenges. No matter how much we try to plan, how much we try to follow things, it doesn't work. One of the most common one is poor time management. All right, and I want to try to make sure tonight I'm not going to be trapped in it. Uh, so time management is one of the most important elements that can go wrong. So you start talking about a topic which was not supposed to be main agenda, but over exaggeration or overemphasize on that will make the whole meeting to be about that. Or sometimes we forget about other important one, and when we want to catch up, we are of course passing the right time. So this kind of meeting is going to be devastating. It's going to be tiring. It's going to be boring for everyone. Those that are attending and also those that are running it, they're going to be exhausted, because the meeting that could be wrapped up in a much shorter period of time end up being too long and lengthy. Lack of participation, that's another most common one. You see, when we ask questions, we are having a lot of participants as we speak, but not everybody participates. You see some names continuously putting inputs because their character probably is different and all, but there are some that they are more shy, more reserved, more introvert. They won't speak as they should. So there are ways to kind of mitigate this. For example, there are techniques like penny technique. I don't know whether you've heard about it or not. When every individual in the meeting is given a set of number of coins, and every time you talk, you put a coin in front of you. So we are making sure everybody has the same number of coins in front of them. If you see somebody has so many coins and the other one doesn't have any, we make sure we stop that person who makes so many comments and let the person who didn't say anything to start talking. In that case, the meeting will have the meaning of meeting. Otherwise, that will be a monologue by one person or a lecture by one person. You're not going to a meeting to be lectured. You're going to a meeting to participate, and everybody has to communicate, and that makes the meeting also interesting. The problem is, a lot of times, the lack of participation is the reason why you get bored, and you believe everything being said over there is redundant. So that's another issue. Technical issues can happen. We just talked about some of those when it comes to online or even offline meetings. Like today, we have a interesting presentation. A group of Chinese delegates came to our university, and we were like showing them some slides. So everything was there. We have translated, Mandarin speaker. We have our team. Everybody was there, and you will be surprised if I tell you what was missing. The the remote control of the video projector was not there. Just imagine, everything was there. The remote control was not there. So the whole meeting was on pause to be able to find that remote. So you see, something as small as a remote control can cause technical issue and cause the whole meeting to be affected. Just imagine this can be in any other category as well. So conflict. You see, conflict in organizations have different nature. Sometimes conflicts are positive. We call them constructive conflict. Means I say something and you are not necessarily agreeing with me, and then you come up with your argument and I learn from your argument, and you together we may end up having a better argument at the end of the day, or come up with a better solution. We call this constructive conflict, which is a very good thing. But sometimes conflicts are destructive. They're negative. They're not there for any good solution. They're just there to, and usually are because of some emotional detachment, some personal differences, some different style of thinking, and those are absolutely negative because they will end up undermining the whole goodness of the meeting. So you see, people get together in meeting to resolve things, to come up with some consensus, and at the end of the day, come up with some persuasive solutions. But if the conflicts starts and people for no reason just going after each other back and forth without any reason, so obviously that's not going to happen. So let's talk about another. So after talking about the most common challenges we have, so is there any way for us to avoid them? Is there any way that we can actually reduce the chance of things going wrong? Yes, you can plan things in advance. Planning has been always one of the basic friends of human being. You plan for your marriage, you plan for your career, you plan for your study, you plan for your trip. Why can't you plan for your meeting? You can do that. And in plan, you have to, of course, explain and come to this understanding and articulation of what are the clear objectives, what I'm going to achieve. That's number one step in planning anything, including meetings. So that's what you're trying to achieve. You're sitting there to not resolve anything but is. So if the discussion go off the track for any reason, when we know what the clear objective is, we can bring it back on. But if we don't know what the objective of the meeting is, so just imagine any wind comes from any directions, our boat is going to be skewed to that way. So that's another reason why planning and preparations are important. So agenda, like you say today I show you, these are the agenda. These are the areas that we're going to talk about when it comes to meeting. Participations and participants are also important. You see, right person to right meeting can do wonders. You get the best meeting, but the ingredient means like one of the most important ingredient, which is participant, is not right, is useless. Again, is as if you are using magic on wrong material, right? So pre-meeting materials also are anything, any brochure, any circulars that can be shared with the participant in advance to give them some heads up of what they're expecting to have, and then they can get prepared accordingly, rather than coming to meeting and try to figure out how they're going to contribute further. So that's how planning and preparation for meeting works. That can somehow, you can see, reduce or at least mitigate some of the issues that earlier we discussed. There are some effective meeting rules that can actually help. Some organizations have this organically, and some organizations actually, or some meetings we intentionally put some people inside. Like we see for this particular guest lecture, Mr. Muhammad Aizat is actually officially taking care of basically handling the questions and opening the session and all of us. So like pretty much like MC of the session, right? Master of ceremony. Of course, there is a basically online lecture, but then pretty much that's what he's doing. So you will have a person who's actually going to be the main person, initiate the meeting. So you see, most of meeting you will have a chairperson who's usually having the highest authority in that organization or that department. Then you have a note taker. Usually one person will take notes, because we don't want to come and next meeting and talk about the same things that we discussed today. We want to make sure that whatever we discuss now is taken down, minutes are there, everybody is aware of it. So next session we can build on top of this, not to repeat this. One of the issues with organizations and meetings are sometimes there's no proper note taking. So then meetings after meeting, the same obvious things getting stated again and again and again, and no result coming out. Active participation, or a participant, is another flavor that we earlier discussed. We make sure everybody participate. You see, if you're in a meeting, there should be a reason for you to be invited to the meeting, and we assume that that invitation was correct. So the participation is crucial. and timekeeping. As I mentioned to you, maybe this is not again done in a way like you see sometimes during your study when you do presentation, the lecturer usually appoints somebody to take care of the time, and even you're going to be evaluated upon the time you take to do your presentation. That's one of the criteria for you to be um, basically marked upon. But in meeting, we may not have it that way, but we may have somebody who kind of moderating it. Like when he sees that somebody, one or two person are taking too much time, he can actually take the ball and pass it to the next person or get others involved. Chairperson usually do that in a lot of basically meetings in a very organic way. So another area that we're going to talk about, which is also in the same direction to have that effective meeting, is language for meeting. What are the elements to be used, and that will be then effective for the meeting. You see, first of all, clarifying points. You should not expect whatever you mention or being mentioned once or twice is understood by everyone. You have to make sure that you do ask for reflective questions. You do ask for rapport, because through rapport you will understand whether your audience actually understood what you're making, or what are your points that you are trying to convey. Again, asking for opinion is one of those. You see, like for a good effective lecture, even I do that. After a while of speaking or explaining, I do ask my audience, including my students, like whether you understood what's going on, whether you have an idea. That can be during the session, can be at the end of the session as we're going to have it. And so this is another way to make sure everybody is engaged. Because you see, as a human, you will be committed to something when you're involved in it. So if you're detached from meeting and you haven't participated or you haven't said anything or you haven't shared your opinion, you don't usually care what the whole meeting is about. So you have no sense of belonging. But the moment I ask your opinion and I said it's interesting for me to hear your opinion, then you get committed to that meeting, because you've been heard, and you heard being called important. So that's the reason why you communicate and you would like to continue that. Summarizing discussion, that's another interesting thing. After all these beautiful stories you say, then you have to come up and wrap up. Okay, after all these interesting stories that we said, Marco Polo journey that we have had, okay, what is the final saying? What's the summary of the whole game? And at the end of the day, if there is any persuasion or convincing to be done, has to be done tactfully. Usually the chairperson or the person who is given the authority by the chairperson does that. And the idea is the action plan. You see, like when you want to say, okay, at the end of this meeting, we reached to this conclusion, and that's what we're going to do next. So that has to be convincingly shared with every member of the meeting. So then the action plan and actual good things can happen after that. Because you can have beautiful planning and beautiful discussion, but if you don't implement it, it's useless. It's as if they've never had that meeting in the first place. So that's about language of meeting, which is absolutely important. There's another area that also I would like to share with you, and in meetings is also somehow we kind of discuss it, but we're gonna talk about it a little bit further, especially about the second item, and it's the item of managing discussions. You see, again, not every individual attend meetings with the same way. Some they are coming very extrovert, willing to talk. You really need to stop them from talking, otherwise they talk the whole day. And there are some they are very reserved. You really need to poke them to get some one word out of them. And being able to get everybody kind of participative is not that easy. So first of all, keeping on track, everybody on track, not to go off the track. It's one of the main agenda. And usually, again, a chairperson or organically all of the members of the team that they're involved in meetings, they try to do so. Interruptions may happen. That can be noise. You see, in communication, one of the major issues with communication is when noise happens, and that's part of the. So it can be an unnecessary sound coming out of the office, or it can be like some, unnecessary, like for example, somebody suddenly stop coughing, or any other thing. Somebody's phone is ringing, and any other incident that can happen, and this shouldn't be something that stop meeting from going further and be continuing its progress. So anything like that happen, it should be immediately managed, or somebody who's involved has to be able to help the whole system to work. And again and again, we keep talking about this. uh, the whole area, the reason behind for us to get together is putting our input to the place. And if not everyone participating, it defeats the purpose of getting together. So encouraging input from all is another very important job. As I mentioned to you, that organically is done usually through all the members, and sometimes specifically by chairperson or the one who's actually try to hold the maybe sometimes even the chairperson, beside, I mean, actually directing the whole discussion, also get to this position and get everyone to talk. So as I mentioned to you, there is a reason for you to attend the meeting, and that means you have to share your inputs. So that's the last element in managing discussions in a meeting. And I would like to talk about this recent, very interesting example that we have had. I'm sure you have watched a recent interesting meeting that happened in Oval Office in the United States when basically Donald Trump, the president of the United States, invited the president of Ukraine with his own team and the media, and the meeting started. This meeting was supposed to be a meeting that usually top leaders meet, and they're not supposed to be certain discussion in front of camera. But as you could see, the team of Donald Trump, as it was obviously revealed later on as well, managed and planned this meeting to be a disastrous PR campaign against Zelensky, who was the president of Ukraine. And you could see a lot of people commented on it. A lot of people saw that a shortcoming from Donald Trump and his team, and they say that is a shame as the president of the United States to make a meeting at that level look like a childish fight between two young fella. Some people look at it as a very smart move by Donald Trump by belittling Ukraine and then trying to detaching itself from it to be able to come up with some kind of peace with Russia, and so many other flavors have been discussed. But you could see if you look at the agenda, let's say what we were saying, which is like Donald Trump and his team wanted that to happen. You can see that was an amazing meeting for that team. The way they started it, the way they directed it, the way the president of the United States once in a while was commenting on what Zelensky was saying, and his team were getting involved. So if we say if the agenda for Donald Trump and the team was to actually devalue the Zelensky and his team and the country, they've done a good job. But is it a common thing in the world of diplomacy and the world level have ever seen something like that? Never. It was definitely unprecedented. Nobody ever have seen any president at any level does that. Forget about the fact that the person involved was the president of the United States, which at least by itself claimed to be the leader of the world when it comes to anything. So that was a very interesting thing. You see, meetings. Some people have said, "Oh, it was not supposed to go that way. If it just went wrong because Donald Trump was there. If it was a better president like Obama, it never could go that way." But the question is whether that was an absolute accident or pre-planned. It was all managed that way. Like the certain, you remember, if you watch the video again, you can watch a lot of footage of that on YouTube. It's available. There were certain elements or discussions or basically comments from the team of Donald Trump on certain occasions. Whenever Zelensky, as the president of Ukraine, wanted to make a point and reach to a certain conclusion, they were intentionally interrupting him and somehow deviate the discussion to something else. And so if that was the agenda for probably Donald Trump, that was a success, but for Zelensky team, that was a disaster. All right. So there are a lot of examples out there, even at top level, in this level, as you can see, that we can learn from it. Whether that was a plan, that was a mistake, what could be avoided, what could be actually learned from it, and so on. So reaching consensus and handling conflict, that's another element to any meeting or any successful, effective meeting. You see, when you come to a meeting, you have to have this understanding that, like nobody comes over there to unnecessary or unlogically persuade or convince or push some people to. So if you come neutral and you come for the idea of, okay, we are looking for the best, we're getting together to put our minds together and come to some understanding, then you can see things going way more organic and natural. and rather than you come in pre you know, occupied with some thoughts and say, no matter what, this is what I'm going to say, no matter what their argument is, I'm going to stay in this side and I'm not going to change. So obviously that's not going to help. That doesn't help any result or any consensus at the end of the day. Again, there is nothing in this world more powerful than facts and honest evidence. If you use that versus emotion, that will be also another very good approach to the meeting. You see, human is all about emotions. No matter how much we try to be emotionless in things, our emotion status will affect our the way we do things. Human is so fragile and so emotionally affected by different circumstances that can do wonders. And if the same person looking at what he has done in that emotion will be sometimes cannot believe that he has done it. Let me tell you, for example, if you're very happy or very sad, you turn to undermine risk. So let's say if you're taking motorbike to go to your office or to your school, that day you're very happy, you may forget even having your helmet, and you end up being in an accident and cause you know, serious damage to yourself. Or vice versa, you're very sad, you just broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you had a very bad result in your exam and you're coming, you again do the same, you forget to fasten your seatbelt, you may get to an accident and you get to be in trouble. So it's very interesting whether you're very happy or very sad at the both time, because you're emotionally affected, you're not thinking straight, you're not logic, and you may do risky things. You see, if human, like, it's like this. So we are very, very possible to be affected by our emotion when we come to meeting. And the professional will be the one who can actually put that aside and then work with the facts. No matter how your emotions are or what your previous feelings or you know, your position in that moment is, you have to work with facts, because facts says 2 plus 2 equals to 4. Doesn't matter what your feeling is. 2 plus 2 is always 4. Tomorrow is going to be 4. Yesterday was 4, and in future is going to be 4. It's not like 2025 is 4 and 2026 is going to be 5. Okay, so that's facts. That's the power of facts. So you always use facts and put emotion aside. Although as human, it's very difficult, but we should practice to do that. As you can see, the more seasoned individual gets, the more senior they get in their field, the more the less emotion they show in their professional settings. And that's what we need to understand, and we have to exhibit in meetings as well. Summarizing common ground, at the end of the day, we are not there to highlight the differences. We are there to celebrate the commonalities and come to some kind of consensus and resolution at the end of the day. And that's what reaching consensus and handling conflict means at the end. Meeting being meeting, another area that, as I mentioned to you, okay, let's say meeting is done. We went through a lot of discussions, a lot of points of view have been said, but then at the end of the day, say, so what? What's going to be next? That's how important the most meeting actions are, because no matter how beautiful things were discussed and raised and basically debated during the meeting, at the end of the day, the outcome of this meeting should be put to the actions, and then these action items have to be shared and everyone should be aware of it. And probably if there is a follow-up meeting at the end of the day, or there is a some further actions to be taken, everybody is on the same side. How we make sure this is happening? So minutes of the meeting should be taken, and this has to be shared with everyone at the end of the meeting as well. That will give a clear idea of what basically meeting was all about, what was discussed, and what we're going to do next. Why we do this? Because human has this short memory deficit, and sometimes we intentionally would like to ignore certain facts. But when you put everything to writing and officiate it, and then make sure everybody's aware of it, and there is a circular happening and is well circulated in the system by the team, then everybody knows what is the expectation from now on, from this point onward. And so that's another element that we have to pay attention to. So besides having a good, fruitful meeting, being able to basically guide the meeting through fruitful discussions and get everybody's opinion and handle and resolve all the solutions, we have to make sure that these post-meeting actions are also taken and done in right way. So that's another side that every individual have to pay attention to. And for basically, as I mentioned to you, I didn't want to make it very too much of lecture. I wanted to make it more on basic principles, and I wanted to make it maybe focus more on QA session. So I talk about the basics, and I would like to now, from now on, let's discuss about the fact that after this meeting, the elements that we discussed, how you guys individually, you will do your next meeting differently from what you would probably do before this particular basically guest lecture. So I'm looking forward to hear from you, and I would like Mr. Mabel Aizat to also facilitate this. Beside you answering this, we then also have our open QA that we will be having after this. So to make it more fun and more basically retrospective, I mean, basically like we won't like to have all those things that we said applied, and also it has to be reciprocal as well between you guys and us at the same time.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Rashad. So let's go with the reflection. Yeah, and you can see here, students, what will you do differently in your next meeting? You know, now that we have heard, we have heard a lot has been discussed by Dr. Rashad. With regard to how meetings are supposed to be conducted. From the beginning all the way until the end. The beginning. I like your what you mentioned just now, Doctor, about that coin activity. Every time a person speaks, he has to put a coin in front of him. So those with fewer coins now have to speak up and take the stage, or speak their mind or something. So it's nice to encourage everyone's participation in a meeting. I think that is one that we can do in our next meeting that we are attending, if we are the chair. I would like to hear from all of you the question, the reflection. What will you do what will you do differently in your next meeting? Whether you are a student, maybe you are an academic staff of UiTM or outside of UiTM, or maybe you are a working professional. Tell us a bit about what you will do or your plan in the future. Okay, we have a few here. I think we have some questions. I think from Miss Diana and also Miss Salwa and others. We will have them at the end during the Q&A. Here I can see maybe from Flaming Helper. He said that would instruct the meeting participant to have a time out be a good strategy when conflict is starting to brew. So meaning, to time out, to have a timeout. Every time there's because every time they expect a conflict should happen. So is that a good strategy, Doctor?
That's an interesting question. You see, I believe that you really need to look at the condition of that meeting and look at the participant and the type of meeting and how that conflict is. You see, sometimes maybe, yes, giving a pause or giving a chance to people to just leave their emotion for a while and then try to think more straight may work. Because as I mentioned to you earlier, human is all about emotions. No matter how much we want to deny it, I'm not saying everybody after watching any Bollywood movie has to cry, but the fact is we have that crying in our DNA. It's just like how much you can cover it. The fact is we get emotional, and sometimes we are emotional about different things. If the discussion and conflict and the disagreement is about something constructive, means I'm not necessarily accepting your point of view, but I'm trying to negotiate and discuss with you to sum up result, then I think it's something positive. You don't need to interrupt that. Probably a timeout will actually disturb the whole fruitful discussion. But if you think things are getting too emotional, it's really out of control, and it's nothing to do with agenda, people are trying to get personal, and it's really not what the meeting is about, then probably that will be a good solution. Why not?
Yeah, so it depends. We look at case by case basis.
Absolutely.
Okay, by Salwa here, Madam Salwa, she said perhaps we can assign time limits to each agenda item to avoid overrunning or keep everyone on track. That is what she'll be doing.
No, that's a very interesting point. But again, you see, we want the meetings to be organic. You don't want a person to dictate, okay, yeah, like, and usually it depends on also the type. You see, if you have a group of friends getting together to a group assignments, you may do this and it's perfectly fine. Nobody's going to be disturbed or irritated. But then group of top management sitting together and a timekeeper is going to say, oh, sorry, your time is finished. You talk, then you will see that will be disastrous. Although sometimes timekeeping happen, when presidential elections and debates happens, there has to be somebody because otherwise, uh, definitely Donald Trump doesn't want anybody to talk. You have seen the candidates debate in the U.S. or how other candidates are talking. Sometimes really in mass, but if it's organically done, it's perfectly fine. Usually, chairperson neutrally can do that. They say like in beautiful shifting from one person to another person. That would be a good approach. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. There's another one by, I think, also Madam Sawashid, that it will be good to summarize action points clearly at the end to avoid any confusion later on. Yeah. Okay. Now from Nadira, she said, in my opinion, I probably will list down first all the elements I would love to share and discuss in the meeting. This will help the participants not get distracted on talking about other topics.
That's amazing. Absolutely. You see, even you yourself, if you know what you're going to talk about, first of all, they will give you an organization of what your meeting and more discussion and your participation is going to be. Second is also give an impression to your audience that you are prepared. So they take you more serious, right? If you come and just talk without any clear message, and then on any topic coming up you just try to jump and hop on and then try to move with the topic, usually you're not taking that serious. So that organization and having the points in advance definitely will help. Again, but depends on the top and the type of meeting as well. Some meetings, they don't really allow you to be that organized, but generally speaking, being organized is always helpful.
Yeah, yeah. That is that is going to be always be helpful. By Charlie here, I think Charlie also agrees on the previous point, saying that focus on agenda first, and then only we can talk about other things that are unrelated or small talk. Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. We are here for a reason. Let's get that reason fulfilled, satisfied, then move on to something that might be less important but can be discussed.
I see. All right, by Miss Diana, encourage concise and relevant contributions. So I think this is, I think the chair, has to be strict sometimes, to make sure that, the discussion is not going to be sidetracked, to make sure that everybody is on board and, discuss and make sure that everything, make sure that discuss about what matters. I think, or so does that mean that not anybody, not everyone can become the chairperson, in your opinion, Doctor?
Very good point. Actually, yes. That's why that this is naturally this position goes to the highest authority in the meeting because that usually comes with the highest seniority and the general respects that everybody would have for that person. Um, and so the person who does that actually have to have that ability charismatically and also maybe by authority, we call it position power, to like kind of control. So he's not just appointed for this. You never can put a junior one to be a chairperson of an important meeting, obviously, because that doesn't work. It's like allowing a soldier at the earliest stage to command the whole army. That doesn't work. How disastrous the result is going to be will be the result of that meeting. So the same thing. So there has to be a position power as well as referent power, and knowledge power for that person. That's one thing, and that definitely will help. I also want to share a very interesting thing. You see, we were talking about neutrality of the chairperson and how important it is for chairperson to be at the top of things. I have been attending a lot of Viva sessions in which there are chairpersons that they're supposed to balance off the discussions between examiners and students and even sometimes the supervisors. As we know in final Vivas, when it comes to PhD work, usually the supervisors are not supposed to get involved. But sometimes even this absolutely scientific and educational meeting can go very emotional and really out of the hand. I have uh, witnessed good number of them. And there are occasions in which that actually chairperson can actually stop this from going further, but unfortunately fail to do so. The reason behind it sometimes is chairperson, attachment with the examiner committee or the academic team there, not one of the, basically kind of disrespect them by interrupting them, but this usually end up being more disastrous. So I personally witnessed a lot of occasions in which the candidates end up being into a serious cruel with the team or examiner team, and the viva goes um, absolutely wrong, and sometimes the students is the victim at the end of the day because the supervisor maybe didn't like the certain statement being made by examiners, and just because some personal conflict are there, and chairperson really can normalize things. But if they fail to do so, the main victim will be a student, because at the end of the day, the main agenda of this meeting is for a student to finish his journey of PhD, but end up being revived or failed just because the chairperson didn't do a good job.
Correct.
So that is a very good example of how important the chairperson is.
I see. Thank you very much, Doctor. I think from Sophia just now, she said that I think we need to focus on the agenda more than talk that things that are not in the agenda, so that we can make the meeting more relevant. I think a lot of students, I mean, they resonate, yeah, with all this. With these comments made by these students that we've seen just now. So essentially, it is important to get things in order, to make sure that you keep it to the time, or make sure that everything, at the end of the day, we all get everything. It leads to real action, or else it's just going to be a waste of time. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Any more? Anything? What's okay? I think we have a question here, or should we just wait this first, or we can just go straight to Q&A, Doctor?
But that's fine. That's fine. If they would like to move on to Q&A, I will be more than happy. No issue.
We have a few questions, but we would like to have more questions from the audience. If you have any question, if you have more questions, don't keep it to yourself. Tell us. Put the questions down in the chat box, and let us see. If you have any questions, any burning questions you might have, right now you would like to ask. This is the only time that we have that you can ask our guest speaker. Also, Doctor, do you have are you going to is the slides already completed, or we can just go straight to Q&A?
The slide, actually, pretty much the last two slides is about Q&A. Yeah,
all
and thanks, not yeah.
Okay. All right. So all right. So let's go. Let's go straight to Q&A. I can see here first question from Alia Bashira. So, what is the best way, Doctor, to speak up if you feel like your ideas aren't being heard? This is interesting. All right.
That's
Maybe.
a good question. Exactly. You see, how you want to be perceived by the other party is one thing, but the fact that what you should do as the actor of that meeting, as the person who's in charge, is something else. On your side, you should do what is necessary, but whether that is going to be taken into the consideration or not, that's not really in your control. But you have to make sure your point is made. So then you're not owing yourself anything. So if you come to a meeting and you act passively and you don't even mention your points of view, or you don't react or don't reflect, so definitely you cannot expect any result. But at least what you can do, and that will be the most important thing that we can advise individually and a personal level, is to make sure that you raise the points that you believe has to be heard and has to be mentioned. But whether that come to the consideration or not, that's a different topic. That's not about that has to be handled differently from management perspective and all. But as an individual who is invited to the meeting, was one of the participants, you have to make your point very straightforward, understandable, and respectfully heard and mentioned. And then the next stage, which is not in your control, you really have no saying. Probably you have to find other avenues to make the points made. But on your side, what you can do is to make sure that you already made your point. So nobody is going to look at your forehead and understand what you have in your mind, whether you're agreeing or disagreeing, or you feel that it's not fair, or at the end of the day, you have to mention. So at least even if they don't take it to the consideration, they see you as a valuable individual who actually participated, and they take you more serious. That's the minimum you get out of this.
Right. I think that is what is important, right? rather than you just come to the meeting and sit quiet, and then you just wait to the meeting to end, and then you
And
can go.
expect people to like having metaphysic power and being able to read your mind. Yeah, nobody is gonna read your mind. All right, so you're the first advocate of yourself. So if you cannot speak on behalf of yourself, who is gonna defend you? There's nobody but you who can defend you. So how you can do it? Respectfully put your point out with the right tone, with the right at the right time when you are given the chance, and then at least at your level, you've done what is necessary to be done.
Mm-hmm. I think, Doctor, like I have this one question. Yeah, I think the question that was asked just now, I think is more or less similar to this one that I have. It says here that let me see. Yeah, let me just look at this one question. He says that how can introverted team members be encouraged to participate more actively in virtual meetings? I think this is. Like it's they are related probably. How do you make sure that those who are quiet in the meeting have the opportunity to speak up? Sometimes they are too afraid to raise their hands or to tell the others that they want to speak or they want to give an opinion. So as a chairperson or just a team member in the meeting, how do we make sure that we give that opportunity to that person?
Fantastic. Actually, it happens on regular basis in my classes as well. Not everybody is as extrovert. Not everybody is enjoying communicating or start talking. Some they really enjoy doing that. Some they really avoiding as much as they can, except they have to. So of course, chairperson has a significant role to play. Chairperson can actually endorse the fact that that individual is there and actually encourage them. Sometimes you really need to push individuals to get them talk, but it's not necessarily supposed to be in a negative or harsh way. It can be always through invitation, through asking some questions, some maybe, as you could say, ice breaking elements to get them to enroll. So the moment that even introvert, the most introvert person is getting involved in something and hearing that or feeling that, oh, I'm getting to be influential in this discussion, or I can be heard, or people actually care what I think, then they will be involved. They will be more than happy to get involved. And sometimes you'll be surprised when some introvert people get to talk. You never can stop them because they got an opportunity to talk and then actually can talk very well and they can actually participate very well. So I have actually noticed this in a lot of my classes when open discussion is going on, and the least expected individual who nobody expected anything from being involved or encouraged to talk, and sometimes they do wonders by actually putting very interesting points to the picture.
Yeah, I agree, because sometimes all these quiet people, they are very observant, they are very thoughtful. Yeah, they have a lot to say. It's just that they are they are quite unsure how to say it or when to say it. So sometimes
Fantastic.
yeah,
Exactly. This is a very, it reminded me of a very interesting Persian slogan. I don't know whether you have in Malaysia the same equivalency or not, but in Persia, we said we have two ears and we have one mouth. By right, we have to double of what we talk, we have to listen. And through listening, we can actually learn. Because if you keep talking, you never learn. You keep just sending the message out, but you never get from environment. So these people, because as you mentioned, you used a very good word called observation and observant. These people, because they listen very much, they are very actually they are sometimes treasures of knowledge. They just need to be hooked or somehow inspired enough to talk, and then when they start contributing, they will amaze you. A very good example of these people are people that they work for example, companies, high-tech companies like, like Google or SAS or Amazon and all. They're all nerds, these nerds are all these IT nerds. But you in this kind of basically setups, these companies like that level of companies, they give them the chance to be themselves. They take care of them and they let them to. It's very interesting. In Google, they have this very famous um, rule. They say if you hire intellectuals and intelligent people, you have to actually let them use their intelligence. Don't tell them what to do. Let them to decide what they're gonna do. They will amaze you. And that's the idea. Because of their observation, because of their ability to cognitively analyze things, they will come up with some wonderful solutions sometimes.
Right, right. I agree, 100%. So, all right, let's look at another question. Do we have other question? All right, this is from CIDL. Yeah? How often do you think meetings should be held to maintain productivity without causing burnout?
Oh, that's a good question. Again, it's very subjective. You see, it depends on organization. It depends on the type of job. You see, if you're having a marketing department run under you, so probably meeting is very crucial because we're always talking about KPI sales, what is the achievement and inspiring the rest to achieve. And then we are also sharing bonuses and all. So meetings are kind of essential to keep the flow of work going. But in some platforms, for example, you're an academician working for a faculty, you're doing your research, you're doing your teaching. Um, Probably maybe once a month meeting will be more than enough to get updated about the latest. And it's not something necessary to meet. So that can be then addressed accordingly. So it depends on the type of organization and all. But the problem with a lot of meetings in general is people think we just keep going, we go there and we're going to listen to this stating the obvious, and it's nothing new, and I'm just wasting my time. And at the end of the day, somebody who just absolutely, as a matter of fact, that he thought that I owing him to listen to him is going to talk for long hours, and I have no saying at the end of the day. So this is the problem of a lot of organization, unfortunately, because participation is not active. Not everybody is on board. Not everybody is going to be heard. No matter what you say, at the end of the day, the boss or the manager wants to do would do whatever he wants to do. So then obviously the issues happen, burnout happen, dissatisfaction happen, people start doing anything but listening. um, so there is this concept, as you know, PBB, which is pretending being busy, like coming to meeting acting as if you're listening, but all you do is thinking about whatever you want to do after the prison break, which is after meeting. So that's obviously the case. A lot of people, they don't get that right. There are a lot of meetings, unfortunately, no matter how much it has been classified and explained and even academically analyzed, still do all this boring, unfruitful meeting and cause problems.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. Next, maybe Nadira Basiron. Yeah? Like you shared just now, some of the meetings need to be organic. Can you share some tips to make sure there are no awkwardness within the meeting organized? Meaning, how do we lighten the mood? Sometimes you sit around with so many people. Your colleagues. Yeah? Sometimes they are friends, sometimes they are not friends. You are not close to them. And how do we lighten the mood, make it less stressful?
Very good, actually, statement. Question. In fact, what I'm gonna tell you now, it will be very helpful in giving a speech to big crowd as well. You see, sometimes even your brain and all, the stress that you have because something um, is gonna happen and you're not ready for it, and there are a lot unknown, give you a stress and even make you awkward. If even we assuming you're okay, the rest might not be that comfortable. So one of the ways that you actually can make it cool, first of all, give yourself a chance to be cool and also the rest to be cool, is talking about very ordinary things. Sometimes cracking jokes at the beginning of the meeting that make everybody smiling and all will be a very good start. As I mentioned to you, it can be a very simple one. Okay, like what's your plan for this weekend? It can be a very general one. Oh, where you're staying, or anything like that can actually start putting the context is a little bit far from what's supposed to be discussed. So people coming like getting more relaxed and so on. Specifically, when you want to give a speech, this is going to be even more. Sometimes you have to even cheat your own mind because human brain is very unique. When you're supposed to go for something big, you start creating cortisol in your body, put you at the guard. Your heartbeat goes up. You sometimes start like not being able to over all your muscles in your face. Your eyes get cramped. So sometimes you have to cheat it. you have to cheat your brain by talking about things that it's not supposed to be part of the game. As I mentioned to you, cracking a jokes. The moment that you're like making that non-related topic discussion, you're getting relaxed as well. Your brain gets confused. Oh, we were supposed to be very serious. What happened? Why you suddenly get this? There are a lot of other things that you can do if you are the monologue speaker. But if you're having conversation, having something, a common discussion, something like that you think that your crowd will be also interested in, um, can be very helpful. Just very small talk. It can be food. It can be politics. It can be, Donald Trump is always a very interesting topic to talk about. It works in any situation. They can talk about, I'm not saying talk about Donald Trump, but I talk about some politicians or some interesting discussions, some sport events. And then you can see people are all ease up. Organically, everybody's happy. They're willing to talk because you look natural. They feel everything is natural. So everything will be at the right place, and you can see the flow is less awkward. Everything is nice and
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay. Let me see. Okay. From Safwat here, Mr. Safwat. Hi, Doc. How do you deal with dominant participants who may disrupt the flow of the meeting? That's a good question. What do you think?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, this is actually one of the techniques that at the beginning I talk about, and also you reflected on it. There is a technique called penny technique. I don't know whether you heard about it. It's a very classic technique, very helpful, easy, even a youngster can do it. Very simple. You just give individuals, if you have coins, you can use coins. If you don't have coins, you can use any other subject, small subject. And any individual who talks has to put that in front. So means if I talk once, I will put one coin in front of me. That means I already have mentioned something. So next round, I won't get a chance to talk except everybody has that one coin in front of them. And we make sure at the end of the day there is a good balance. If somebody has so many coins in front, means that he's the only one talking, and he's kind of guiding the discussion to the preference that he has, and he's going to dominantly take over of everything. A good, healthy meeting will be when everybody actively participates and can be heard and can actually be part of the solution. So these are the techniques that you can do to make sure this never happens.
All right. Yes. Yes. All right. Maybe something. Yeah. Something that we can implement. In our next meeting probably. All right. There's one question from Madam Sarwa. I think she said that how do we differentiate between things that can be or should be discussed in a meeting or things that should just be an email or a text message.
Oh, that's
Because
also interesting.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes there are certain things that they could be handled through a communication, basically channels that you have. A lot of organizations now using WhatsApp. I believe even WhatsApp inventors or those that they are behind it at the first place, they wouldn't know one day there will be that instrumental all around the world. So I can see most of organizations are using WhatsApp because they're easy, they are accessible, manageable, everybody has access and so on. And sometimes actually you can do send. For example, there is a message for everyone to be aware of, and it can be actually beautifully circulated through official email or WhatsApp in a WhatsApp group and all. So then, of course, there's no reason to get people together, waste your time to talk about in a meeting while we could actually do that. But there are certain things that we know there is no absolute consensus, or we really need the inputs of all other individuals to get to know. Or sometimes there is a middle management trying to convey the message of top management to lower employees. Then meetings are getting necessary. So this is obviously something that you have to um, basically decide upon the nature of what your work is, the philosophy of what that message is all about. Then the right action to be taken accordingly.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. All right. One question here: how do you decide whether to continue a difficult discussion or postpone it for later?
Oh, that's
From
interesting.
Ms. Diana.
Okay, if difficult discussion means something that we know we're not going to agree anytime soon, probably if it's upon agreement, means like we know the consensus is not going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, continuing this is not going to solve anything. Probably giving some time and postponing it to future when individuals can come back with more insights will be helpful. But sometimes the difficult discussion is about coming to an important decision that is critical to organization and to the department. Then continuation of that and making sure the decision is made is better than postponing it. So it depends again on the nature of the problem that we talk about, what that difficulty coming from. It's just like we cannot just come to a certain opinion. They're like 50-50% in the meeting, and further discussion is not going to really solve anything. So maybe probably giving some time would be helpful. But as I mentioned to you, there are some occasion in which difficult question is because there's some sensitivity about the topic, or um, there are some parties that being influenced and they don't want this to happen, and then you have to make that difficult call. Then probably better to do it now rather than postponing it in long run. So there's again a nice Persian slogan said, "Better war now rather than having a peace after a long time."
I think, yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, like, get things done, yeah, as soon as possible. We don't, so that we don't have to deal with it, or deal with them later. All right, some questions I think we have here. Let me see here. Can I have that question? Well, I think there's a lot from Izdiha, I think. Oh yeah, okay. Let's go with Razil. In a meeting discussion. Oh, sorry. Okay. Razil, in a meeting discussion, how can someone interrupt with proper manners, or how do we interrupt someone, politely, in, I think, in mid sentence probably. So while they are talking, how do we interrupt? So meaning this, for lack
Okay.
of,
It's just like, like if this is like it's a very unique question in a sense that like you really need to look at the individual that you're trying to interrupt as well. Some people are more sensitive, some people
right,
are
right.
less particular about that. If like your interruption is upon the fact that
Mm,
you want to raise your points
mm,
in reflection to what he says, waiting a little bit further for him to finish and then make your point usually is a better solution. But sometimes you want to do this interruption as a chairperson or as a person who's in charge of navigating the meeting, then it should be an understandable element by parties. But again, you have to look at individuals. Some people get really irritated when they're gonna make a point and get interrupted. You have seen a lot of hard talks, top politicians, top-notch actors, top-notch celebrities come on sizzling chairs and sometimes get immediately, reacting to certain things. So you really need to know how to do it in beautiful way.
mm,
That is still because you at the end of the day you don't want to stop the conversation. You don't want person to leave. You don't want the whole meeting to go in jeopardy just because you mentioned that. So you really need to see what's the right time, who is the one that
mm.
you're trying to interrupt, and do it in a very tasteful and tactful way, I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I like what you say. Make it very tactful. Yeah. Do it politely, because you know, because basically you are stopping the people, while they are talking, and that could be problematic. Yeah. In many cases. Thank you. All right. Next, can we have another one? Faiz says this sharing has given me a lot of information. Thank you very much, Faiz. Um, all right, so let's go. Oh, okay, Dr. Iril, our own. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. MC, and also Professor. We've learned so much. Thank you, terima kasih. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Appreciate it.
This is
Thank
my
you.
mentor, lah. All right, can we have another question? I think I saw a question by Zujin. During a meeting, how to politely oppose the other's suggestion without making it look bad, making yourself look bad, probably, because some of them might think it is rude to do so. How do you disagree? How do you show disagreement in a meeting, Doctor?
Okay, fantastic. Again, the tone and the way or the literature you use when you mention your points is really important. If you can always we can always agree to disagree, and if that being politely mentioned, every party will accept it. In fact, you get to a meeting to come to an understanding and consensus. So this is absolutely normal, absolutely okay. But of course, your tone, the way you mention it, has to be professional, right? You're not there to attack anybody's personality or discredit them or belittle them. You have to be very careful about how your comment is. The person or the personality of individual shouldn't be attacked. You should be always about the subject and the topic and your opinion. And you always have to be also mindful of the fact that whatever you say is also not the fact being given by God. It's your opinion as well. So you have to always mention that in your statement, that in my opinion, or in my humble opinion, and it can be wrong, but I think that should be the case, or that can be the case, or we can look at it from that perspective as well. You see, the way you can tell somebody, please sit, or you can say, sit down. And you can also even use a vulgar word to ask somebody to sit. All of them, at the end of the day, the action is somebody sitting. But you mentioned something in three different ways, and three different reactions will be probably out of this. So if you professionally mention your point of view, without, again, as I mentioned to you, attacking anybody's individually by himself, personality-wise, and so on, and it's just about the subject matter, I believe most of the times you will be able to have it perfectly without any problem. But there will be, again, some exceptional cases as well.
All right, okay. So can we have like one more? I think it is almost 10 o'clock. Maybe we can have like one more question, and then we can, wrap things up. All right. Okay. Let me see. Oops, there was a question just now. Noor Ira, may I ask how to be confident with our own answers during the discussion? Because sometimes I feel like I suddenly, go off topic from what was supposed to be discussed. So how to be confident, how to be,
Okay, sure. You see, the statements that you make in a meeting, they say without you, before you open your mouth, a lot of skills and realities about you is not revealed. But the moment you open your mouth and start sharing, people then start basically understanding who you are, and start measuring you, and start finding who you are personally. So it's very important when we're gonna contribute and make our point, we already in our mind reach to this good certainty that what we're gonna say, it make good sense. Because if you're in doubt by yourself at the first place, probably you want to make a statement that everybody is going to be doubtful about. So the first and most important thing is you convince yourself that what you're saying, it makes sense. And if that is not done, so the advice is please don't share it, right? It's like a parent who doesn't know why he's advising a kid not to do certain things. That doesn't make sense, am I right? We tell our kids don't smoke, don't do that, don't use that word, bad word, because we believe 100% that that's an absolute wrong thing to do. And that's why we advise. So that should be the case. You see, you are the first judge of yourself and who you are and what you can offer. So you make sure you first go through this, edit it, reflect it. You're convinced that what you're saying is something meaningful. That doesn't mean you have to be hesitant all the time. You have to practice this. This is something that over time, over the practice, you will get to be more skillful in it. But after a time, you can see you start contributing, you start being recognized, and people also seeing you as a important factor. Because if you keep coming to meetings and you don't make any noise, and in Arabic they have a word called somobok, means that no talking, no reaction, nothing, then they don't take you serious. You have to be at a point that you are convinced that what you're going to say, it makes a good sense and it's going to have an impact on in discussion. Then you mention, and probably you're going to be fine. You may have disagreement against you, but you will be fine.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. That is all. Anyone else? Okay. All right. I think unfortunately we are running out of time here. I think we can. That is all the time that we have. I think there are more questions that are posted, but I think we can stop here. Thank you very much, once again to Dr. Rashad for your time and your valuable insights here. I think we learned a great deal tonight about how to participate, how to run effective meetings, and also lead with impact. Yeah, and because meetings are very delicate. Yeah, because we are not dealing with work, but we are also dealing with people, essentially, like you said in the beginning. Yeah, so it is always important. Yeah, we have to have that emotional intelligence, rather than on top of having IQ and having knowledge about what to do and what to discuss. We also need to be empathetic we also need to be, mindful of people, because these are all, essentially they are human beings like us as well. So thank you very much, to Dr. For your sharing session. Please, to those who are in attendance, please share with us your emojis, share your appreciation to Dr. Rashad. To all attendees, thank you very much for joining us. There is a link where you can click, for I think certificates. Yeah, we hope today's session has been very fruitful, has empowered you. Yeah, at the end of the day, to master the meeting and also influence with intent. So before we go, please take care and don't forget to like and subscribe this channel for more future learning session opportunities by CIDL. So until next time, thank you very much, everyone. Take care. Good night. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Thank you so
wabarakatuh.
much, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the session. Have a wonderful night. All the best in your career.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you so much.